Hey Wargamers, Josh here, and today we are going to be continuing our Space Marine adventures by painting the Blood Angel Brother Gabriel from the first Space Marine Adventures box. Let's jump straight into it.
Once we've got everything off the sprue, we are going to give everything a prime with Army Painter Matte Black Air Primer. Our first color up is going to be the Fanatics Resplendent Red. We are going to mix that roughly 75-25 with thinner to get it to shoot through the airbrush appropriately and give everything a red base coat to bring those reds back. Switch over to Oak Brown for all of the dirt on the base. We are going to make sure to get in between all of the cracks. And then we're going to switch over to Deep Gray for all of the rock faces. Now we're going to switch over to Ash Gray on a dry palette with a dry brush to scratch in some edge highlighting and a little bit of detail work across all of these rocks. Make sure you head on over to www.wargamesdelivered.com to make sure you can get Fanatics and try them out for yourself, because I really like them. Now we're going to switch back over to Oak Brown, and we're going to use it for all of the straps for the bolter rifle that is hanging off of his shoulder. Moving over to matte black, we're going to use that for the base coat on the bolter rifle, as well as the auspex in his hand, the carapace armor, and the grill plate in the front of his mouth, as well as a few other pieces. Now we're going to move back over to Oak Brown because I realized that I forgot to do his pouches. So that is what we're doing with this, is pouches and belt. Now we're going to pick out some details with plate mail metal. I have really come to like the new metallics in the Army Painter range, and this plate mail metal is my favorite of the silvers. I am going to use it here for the chest detailing, as well as detailing across the bolter magazine and barrel, as well as the connection points for the strap. Then we're going to move into strong tone, and we're going to give the entire model a heavy wash in strong tone. Now we're going to move into our first and only highlight here. We're going to glaze in some angelic red with a really, really thin mixture to bring a little bit of brightness up to the points that are going to be the most prominent. We're going to use it across a lot of the helmet. We're going to use it across the tops of each of the miniature. I like a really thin glaze, and the Fanatics take to glazing really, really well with just a mixture of water. I was careful here not to put it too deep into the edges, ignore my shaky hands, so that I left the shadows from that wash in there to really bring some definition and help to break up the model and provide some visual interest. Now, one of the things that I like the most about the Fanatics line is that triad system. It really helps you step up your shadows and highlights, specifically highlights in this instance, without really blowing the color out. So I was able to glaze in this angelic red without really changing the color of the miniature so that it still reads dark, but it's got a little bit of brightness in the areas where light would be reflecting off of it. And I think that they took almost all of the guesswork out of painting highlights and painting most miniatures in general. Come back in with a very small brush and plate mail metal, and we are going to highlight some of the edges of the chest detailing, add some details on the stomach armor, and then make sure we paint the rivets and some additional pieces on the helmet, including the earpieces and some of the hoses going to the head. Once we're happy with the way that the helmet looks, I'm going to go ahead and move over to the backpack, and we're going to paint the upper antenna as well as the upper antennas of the auspex in his hand. Focusing on the auspex for a second, we're going to throw in some ancient stone onto the screen to brighten it up and cover up that red. And then we're going to switch back over to the helmet with some bright sapphire for the eyes and visual transmitters here, as well as some of the additional pieces across the model, including on the backpack and the auspex itself. Now, going back to the auspex, we're going to use Ghillie Doo. Thanks, Eons of Battle, for this tip, because I love the way Ghillie Doo looks for screens in 40k. And that's it. The model is finished. So thank you so much for checking us out. I'm Josh. This is Wargames Delivered, and we'll see you next time.